My older sister's voice echoed through the Grand Willow's ballroom just as my face lit up on the giant projector behind her. Some people belong in the kitchen, Kayla said into the mic, smiling at the donors, and some of us belong out front making real decisions. The crowd chuckled politely, then a guy near the back stood up and pointed. Wait, that's her on TV, he shouted. Every head swung from my sister in her tailored navy suit to the screen, where a younger version of me on Fire and Time was plating scallops for celebrity judges. My name is Tessa Reed. I was 31 years old, and this entire fundraiser had really started with a Sunday dinner right here at the Grand Willow. In the hotel restaurant my parents loved to pretend they could afford. Before I go back to that dinner, let me ask you something. Has your family ever volunteered you for something without asking? Tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what they roped you into, because that's exactly what happened to me. That Sunday night, the four of us squeezed into a corner booth at the Grand Willow's Grill, my parents glowing, because Kayla had just booked the ballroom for a big political fundraiser. My mom kept gushing about the chandeliers. My dad talked like he owned the place. Kayla held her menu like it was a briefing folder. I slid in last, still smelling like garlic and fryer oil from the bistro, and instantly felt like an extra in my sister's show. You're just in time, my mom said as the server walked away with our order. Kayla has amazing news, and it involves you. That sentence never ended well for me. Kayla smiled, that polished, public-facing smile she used in campaign ads. So, baby chef, she began snagging a fry off my plate. We fixed your life. My dad chuckled. Your sister needed a caterer for her fundraiser, he said. We told her you and Luis would handle it. Huge opportunity. City council, local donors, all the right people. I frowned. You told her what? Kayla waved it off. Relax. Luis is thrilled. And since you had money just sitting there, we used some of your savings for the ballroom deposit. $10,000. You're welcome. The number landed like a brick in my gut. You took $10,000 from my account, I asked. My mom looked genuinely offended. Sweetheart, you showed me that account when I needed help with the tax website. It was just sitting there. We're your parents. We know what's best. This is investing in your future. I gripped my water glass. You never asked, I said. Kayla took a sip of wine. We moved it where it could do more good. You're going to cook for a room full of people who matter. Maybe someone funds your little trailer or your YouTube thing. Try saying thank you instead of making this about boundaries you heard on some podcast. My dad nodded. Your sister is doing something important. You're helping. After dinner, Kayla pulled me toward the lobby fireplace, away from the clatter of plates and low piano music. The ballroom doors were propped open just enough for us to hear a band sound checking for another event. Look, she said, dropping her voice into that persuasive tone she used on reluctant donors. I know you're freaking out, but this is how adults do things. Sometimes you move money fast to close deals. You'll get it back. I folded my arms. Luis says he never agreed to this. He got a contract with my name typed under it. Did you sign for me? Kayla rolled her eyes. You left a signed lease in Mom's junk drawer when you were thinking about renting kitchen space. They had your signature. I filled in the rest. It's not a crime. It's family. It is a crime, I said slowly. You forged my name, and you used my trailer as collateral. Her smile sharpened. It's an asset, Tess. You weren't doing anything huge with it yet. And if hypothetically you messed this up, the hotel could take it. You'd live. You'd work extra shifts. Meanwhile, I'm bringing in potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars for real change. That's what matters. I stared at her. My trailer is my business. My savings are my safety net. She patted my shoulder like I was a child. You've always been the one who cooks while other people handle the serious stuff. This is just that scaled up. Be grateful. Or at least don't tank my event. Back in my small apartment above a laundromat, I pulled out the battered spiral notebook where I tracked numbers instead of recipes. Every line was a double shift at the bistro, A weekend wedding I'd catered in borrowed kitchen space, a Sunday brunch pop up out of my car. $35,000, that's what it had taken to buy a used lavender trailer, retrofit it into Lilac Kitchen. Add equipment, get permits, and paint my logo on the side. No cosigners, no family loans, just calloused hands and a bad back. $10,000 gone wasn't moving money around. It was ripping out a load-bearing wall. And they hadn't just stolen cash. They'd tied the one thing I owned outright to my sister's political dreams like it was disposable packaging. They also never mentioned why I had any local name recognition. When I was 23, I'd been on a national cooking competition show called Fire and Time. For one season, I played it under brutal studio lights while strangers online argued about my sauces. The judges called me the Dark Horse. A Portland chef dangled a line cook job. A Seattle investor floated a small plates concept with my name on the sign. Then my dad's heart failed in our driveway. My mom sobbed that she couldn't handle the bills, and Kayla called saying she couldn't carry this family alone. I dropped everything and came home. I worked the line, wrote checks to hospitals, helped them keep their house. Nobody said thank you. They just said, "We knew you'd do the right thing." The next morning, I walked into Luis's Bistro on Commercial Street before opening. The dining room felt honest without customers' sunlight on wood tables, the hum of refrigerators, no fake smiles. Luis stood at the prep table chopping onions with the rhythm of someone who'd done it for 2 decades. "You're early," he said without looking up. "That's rarely good." I poured coffee into 2 mugs and slid one over. "Did Kayla talk to you?" His jaw tightened. "Yesterday. She came in here like a commercial, told me how excited you were, waved a contract with your name on it. I said yes because I trust you." I spread the printed pages on the steel. "I never saw this," I said. "She used an old signature to fake it. And she pledged my trailer." Luis read silently, his eyes tracking each clause, the forged signature, the collateral line, the penalties section. Finally, he set it down. "This is not a misunderstanding," he said quietly. "This is fraud. And the fact that she's an attorney makes it worse." My stomach twisted. "What do I even do? If we back out, the hotel can chase me because my name's on it. If we go forward, I'm still stuck." He wiped his hands on a towel and grabbed his phone. "We're not handling this alone. I'm calling Trevor. Remember my buddy who got my food truck friends out of that awful lease? He loves this kind of fight. Sit. Drink your coffee. We're not letting her steamroll you." A few hours later, I sat across from Trevor Ung in his cramped office above a coffee shop downtown. Law books lined one wall, framed menus from restaurants he'd helped cover the other. He flipped through the contract, my bank statement, screenshots of Kayla's texts, his expression shifting from neutral to deeply unimpressed. "Okay," he said, tapping my forged signature. She used a prior signature taken in a completely different context to authorize a new agreement. "She withdrew $10,000 from your account using access you gave your mom for taxes. She pledged your trailer without consent. That's not family business. That's professional misconduct by an attorney. But we have to be strategic." Trevor laid out a plan like he was writing a recipe. "First, we documented everything: emails, messages, bank records, any witnesses. Second, we created a simple LLC for Lilac Kitchen and transferred the trailer's title into it, so it was no longer technically my personal property. Third, he drafted a letter to the Grand Willow putting them on notice that my signature was contested and any lien involving my trailer was in dispute. Short term, he said, you probably still cater the event. If you blow it up beforehand, the hotel could claim damages against you because your name is on the original contract. Long term, the fact that management knows something's off will matter when this comes to a head. And it will come to a head." The week before, the fundraiser felt like living inside a pressure cooker. During the day, I prepped with Louise scaling recipes, testing canapes until my taste buds gave up. I built a menu around Oregon ingredients I loved: hazelnut crusted salmon, roasted carrots with smoked paprika, and honey tiny marionberry tarts that stained your fingers purple. At night, I lay awake imagining Kayla at the microphone, my parents glowing behind her donors laughing at some polished joke. Then my brain would flip channels to 23-year-old me under neon studio lights, knife in hand, fearless and hopeful. I wondered what she'd say if she knew she'd one day give all that up for family, only to have that same family treat her life's work like a piggy bank. The afternoon of the fundraiser, we rolled carts through the Grand Willow's service entrance past staff smoking by the dumpsters and a florist wrestling tall vases of white flowers. The ballroom looked like a wedding magazine, polished floors, chandeliers like upside-down crystal trees, round tables draped in white. We set up the open kitchen station along one wall. Burners lined up plates stacked my crew in black, me in a white coat, with lilac kitchen stitched over my heart. Kayla arrived with my parents around 4, already directing AV techs and rearranging chairs by an inch. When she saw me checking the room, her smile tightened like a seam. "You look very professional," she said, which from her could mean anything. "Here's the deal. Once guests arrive, you stay in the kitchen. No wandering around networking like you're on some comeback tour. Tonight is about the campaign." I wiped my hands on a towel. "I'm here to run a clean event," I said. "That includes making sure the room flows." She leaned in. "If you try to make some scene, remember whose name is still on that original contract. Even with Trevor's letter, things can get messy. You want your precious trailer tied up in court. You want inspectors visiting Luis every week. These people can make that happen." Her eyes were flat. "Be smart. Stay in your lane." By 6, the ballroom hummed. City council members, state staffers, local business owners in well-cut suits, their spouses in jewel-colored dresses. This was the crowd Kayla had been chasing for months. Servers moved among them with trays of canapes. The clink of glass and low buzz of networking floated over jazz from the hotel speakers. My parents drifted just behind Kayla, proudly introducing her as the brains behind the operation. When people asked about the food, my mom laughed and said, "Our younger one cooks. She's always loved playing in the kitchen, like I was still 10 and microwaving pizza rolls." A couple guests came to the open kitchen to compliment the salmon, but mostly I was background scenery. In the corners, projector screens alternated between Kayla's slideshow, her shaking hands with officials smiling at ribbon cuttings, and a muted local streaming channel. At one point, an AV tech must have hit the wrong button because the slideshow vanished, and Fire and Time filled the screen. Specifically, the semi-final, where I argued with a judge about acidity. Younger me in a bandana moved confidently between pans, flames leaping. A few guests noticed squinting. "Is that—" Someone started, but the tech flipped back to Kayla's face, shaking his head. I swallowed hard, turned back to my station, and focused on plating dessert, pretending my past wasn't flickering in the corner of the room. After dinner, the hotel staff cleared plates and servers lined up with trays of champagne flutes. I grabbed one and moved toward the back of the room, watching Kayla step to the microphone. My parents took front row seats, faces bright with pride. Kayla launched into her speech, Salem's future infrastructure, small business support, all the buzzwords she loved. She was smooth, funny, perfectly timed. The room leaned in. Then she pivoted. "A lot of you have been asking about the incredible food tonight," she said, gesturing toward the open kitchen. "That's my little sister Tessa back there. She's always been happiest in the kitchen, even when we were kids, and she turned our house into a disaster zone." Polite laughter rippled. "Some people are just wired that way," Kayla continued. "They like support roles. They make the meals clean up, keep things running behind the scenes. While others," she tipped her head toward herself, "step out front to do the work that actually changes policy and creates jobs. We need both. But let's be honest, not everyone is cut out for the front of the room." A few people shifted in their seats. Others smiled along. My face burned, but my hand stayed steady around the tray. My mom laughed too loudly, signaling that she wasn't offended. My dad nodded like she'd just shared a charming family anecdote instead of publicly putting me in my place. In the back, a guy in a blazer and sneakers had his attention half on Kayla, half on one of the screens where the streaming channel had slipped back in. Suddenly he straightened. Is anyone else seeing this? He called. On the screen, Fire and Time had returned full screen, now replaying the episode where I seared duck and stared down a judge. The camera cut to a close up of my face, younger but unmistakable. The guy pointed between the screen and me. That's her, he said louder. The caterer. She was on Fire and Time. Heads turned in waves, eyes bouncing between the screen, my chef coat, and Kayla frozen at the mic, her smile faltering. Phones came out like reflex. Tessa Reed, Salem, Oregon, someone read from their search results. Finalist Season 3. They called her the Dark Horse. A woman in an emerald dress leaned toward my parents' table. You didn't tell us your daughter was on television, she said. My mom's smile went stiff. Kayla's jaw clenched. On screen, younger me accepted praise from a judge with a shy grin. The donors murmured, scrolling through old clips and Reddit threads about whatever happened to Tessa from Fire and Time. The narrative in the room shifted. You could feel it. I wasn't just the younger one who likes to cook anymore. I was someone they suddenly recognized and wanted to hear from. I set my tray on a side table and stepped forward just enough so people didn't have to crane their necks. Yeah, I said, my voice carrying more clearly than I expected. That's me. The room quieted, even the servers pausing. I got pretty far on that show I went on. I had job offers in Portland and Seattle. But my dad got sick. Hospital bills piled up. My mom called crying that she couldn't do it alone. And my sister asked if I was really going to leave them to struggle while I chased some restaurant dream. I glanced at Kayla, then back to the crowd. So I came home. I worked long hours. I sent money. I helped them keep their house. And in return, I continued, my pulse pounding in my ears. That same family took $10,000 from my account without asking. My parents used my savings for this ballroom deposit. My sister signed my name on a contract I never saw and pledged my food trailer as collateral so she could book this event. That wasn't sacrifice. That was theft. A shocked murmur rolled across the tables. Kayla laughed weakly into the mic. She's being dramatic, she said. Families move money around. We've always shared resources. At that, Trevor stood from his seat near the side wall, small legal pad in hand. For the record, he said calmly, I represent Ms. Reed. We've already informed the hotel that she contests the validity of that contract and that her signature appears without consent. Any lien against her trailer is being challenged. The Grand Willow's manager hurried to the stage, cheeks pink. He took the microphone from Kayla with an apologetic nod. I'd like to clarify something, he said. We have been delighted with Ms. Reed's professionalism and the quality of her work tonight. We were not aware there was any question about the original paperwork. Effective immediately, we will sign a new catering agreement directly with her company and remove any mention of her trailer as collateral. Payment responsibility will rest with the campaign committee. He glanced at Kayla. Our legal team will review the other issues first thing Monday. You could almost hear donors reassessing in real time as they slipped envelopes back into purses and jackets. Kayla snatched the mic back, her polished mask cracking. This is ridiculous, she snapped. She's twisting things. We've always helped each other. She got exposure tonight, didn't she? That trailer wouldn't exist without me convincing our parents to let her chase this hobby. A council member in the front row frowned. Forging a signature is not help, he said. Neither is pledging someone's property without their permission. My mom hissed. Stop it, under her breath, but he didn't. A few donors quietly walked out. Others stayed but looked wary rather than impressed. The rest of the evening staggered forward, but the mood had changed. The buzz wasn't about Kayla's bright political future anymore. It was about ethics, entitlement, and the quiet ways families can wound each other. In the days after the fallout spread the way everything spreads now, shaky phone videos, stitched commentary, local news articles, hungry for clicks. Someone uploaded the entire exchange. Kayla's "Some people belong in the kitchen." My explanation about the contract. Trevor's calm interruption, the hotel manager's announcement to TikTok. It racked up views faster than I could process. Headlines called it fundraiser frenzy, and Salem's chef confronts sister over alleged fraud. Kayla's firm put her on leave pending investigation, trying to spin it as a misunderstanding while they digested Trevor's formal grievance to the bar. My parents bombarded me with calls and texts. My mom left long voicemails about airing dirty laundry and destroying your sister's career over a little paperwork mistake. My dad asked, "How does this help anyone? I let every call go to voicemail." Trevor moved like he'd been training for this. He filed a grievance with the Oregon State Bar attaching the forged contract, my bank records, and multiple sworn statements from guests. He filed a civil suit demanding the return of my $10,000 plus damages for putting my trailer at risk. The bar opened a formal investigation. They pulled Kayla's other files, read her emails, interviewed former assistants. Patterns emerged, signatures added after the fact, dates quietly adjusted, corners cut whenever it seemed convenient. On television, Kayla had preached about accountability. In her inbox, accountability looked more like an obstacle than a value. Suddenly, the story wasn't just sisters fighting. It was about a lawyer with a habit. About 6 months later, the bar suspended her license while they finished their investigation. A few months after that, they revoked it completely. The firm she'd been so proud to name drop issued a statement about maintaining the highest ethical standards and cut her loose. Candidates stopped returning her calls. Donors withdrew. She sold the bright house in Kaiser she'd just bought to pay legal fees, and the settlement Trevor negotiated. Part of that settlement required her and my parents to repay every cent taken from my account, plus additional damages. My parents never blamed her. In their version, I had turned on my own blood and overreacted instead of keeping quiet for the greater good. While Kayla's world shrank, mine slowly widened. The same video that torched her reputation made people curious about me. Folks started showing up at Lilac Kitchen saying they'd seen that clip and wanted to support the younger sister who'd come home and gotten burned. A Salem food blogger did a feature called "Whatever Happened to Tessa from Fire and Time" and shared my trailer schedule. Some Saturdays there was a line before I even opened the window. The restaurant owner who'd slipped me his card at the fundraiser took me for coffee, then walked me through a small downtown space he'd been sitting on. "You bring the food? And the following," he said. "I'll help with the lease and build out. Luis can buy in too. And this time, nobody touches your bank account but you." A year after that disastrous fundraiser, I unlocked the door to Lilac Kitchen and Bar for our soft opening. The place wasn't big, just a narrow dining room, a bar, and an open kitchen, but it glowed. We painted the walls a warm gray, laid lavender tiles behind the bar, and hung framed photos from my trailer days on one wall. The menu was all mine-fried chicken sandwiches I'd perfected in parking lots, small plates inspired by fire and time challenges, a Marionberry dessert that made people close their eyes. For that first night, I filled the reservation book with people who'd actually earned a seat: Luis and his wife Trevor, and his boyfriend Uncle Philip, who'd shown up quietly with cash and casseroles, my cousin Kyle and his wife Alyssa, who had become regulars at the trailer. There wasn't a single read from my parents' side on the list. Halfway through service, Kyle stood up and raised a glass. "To Tessa," he said, voice a little shaky. "To the one who's been feeding this family and this city for years without getting credit. I'm glad the world finally caught up." Glasses clinked around the room. Luis smiled at me over a plate of salmon. Trevor, who'd fought so hard on paper, looked unexpectedly emotional in person. I caught my reflection in the front window, hair in a messy bun apron, smudged eyes, tired but clear. For the first time, I saw not the girl who'd given up a TV career or the sister who got used like a bank account, but a woman who had drawn a line and refused to step back over it, no matter who yelled from the other side. My parents sent one Christmas card that year addressed to our daughter. Inside was a generic greeting and a line about how families should be able to get past money. There was no apology, no acknowledgement of what they'd done, just an expectation that I should be the one to bridge the gap. I tossed it in the trash. A few months later, Kayla emailed a long message about how she'd paid enough and how sisters should always have each other, especially when things are hard. She suggested coffee. I clicked archive without replying. Not seeing them again wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about survival. Every time they'd gotten access to my life, they'd treated my work and my savings as tools for their story. I wasn't giving them another chance to rewrite mine. If you're listening and seeing pieces of yourself in this, maybe you're the younger one who pays, while the older sibling gets praised. Hear me clearly, you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to say no when family tries to spend your money, borrow your name, or gamble with your future like it's theirs. You don't owe anyone unlimited access just because you share DNA. I will never sit at a table with my parents and sister again. I will never sign anything they bring me. I built my own table in my own restaurant with people who see me as a person, not as a resource. Thank you for staying with my story. Share your thoughts below. What would you do in my place?